It's Tuesday, November 17th, and it's time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Domestic violence cases have risen in the region since the start of COVID-19 lockdowns earlier this year. Acting UN Women Representative Tony Broder made the disclosure at the Soroptimist International of Barbados annual general meeting held at the Hilton Barbados on Monday. She said while statistics had not been collected from all relevant authorities, reports from police and other organizations point to an increase. She was speaking on the topic, the impact of COVID-19 on domestic violence.
What I can tell you about COVID-19 and violence in the home, we anecdotally know that it has significantly gone up. And it is specific to intimate partner violence, violence against children, and elder abuse. We know that has happened. We only know it because we're seeing the newspaper headlines. We're seeing every now and then we have some police officers who give us clear information. But remember, prevalence of violence against women and girls is always higher than what the administrative data tells us. So that is something that we need to be aware of. And the next step is really how can we build solidarity around our advocacy so that whatever work is being done to provide the services to women and girls, to persons who are in really horrible situations. Because a lot of women, and this is something that some of the bureaus of gender affairs have been telling us, who lost their jobs in the tourism industry had to go back to violent relationships. They didn't have to, but they felt that was their only option. So in the case they had to, because they had to feed their children and themselves.
Prime Minister Mottley said the removal of Lord Nelson's statue from a National Hero Square in this city was just the beginning of several initiatives aimed at raising a national consciousness. She hinted that the Transport Board terminal in Fairchild Street could be named after renowned spiritual Baptist leader Grenville Williams.
We need to rename the bus stand after Grenville Williams. Not simply because of his relationship with transport, because he didn't have that. But it was his relationship with trying to find public spaces in which he could create that space for people to lift up their hands and to praise their God in the way that they wanted to do, not in the way that they were required to do through the establishment of the church in this country.
Mottley disclosed that Golden Square would also be properly maintained.
Golden Square, we have seen the National Insurance Building removed, and we have approved only last week the framework for the work to continue to ensure that Golden Square will be a properly landscaped park in the center of town, reminding us that those who gathered on that site 83 years ago acted deliberately in our interests by putting their lives and their property at risk when they so gathered. There are too many Barbadians, young and old, who do not even know where Golden Square is as we speak today. And it is a condemnation on our nation building project that we could be 54 years into independence without people appreciating what started it all in Golden Square. Similarly, we are going to ensure, as we did with Independence Square, that National Heroes Square must reflect our heroes, and that while we accept that the statue of the Vice Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson is an important historic relic, it is not a relic to be placed in the National Heroes Square of a nation that has had to fight for too long.
In other news, Prime Minister Mottley has joined calls for debt relief to be extended to middle-income countries like Barbados. Addressing the virtual launch of the Debt Relief for Green Recovery report on Monday, Mottley suggested that global support and cooperation were needed as middle-income countries were making sacrifices every day in choosing sustainability and resilience. She said most of the world decries global warming, but too many slink away when it comes to making their sacrifices, adding that the promise that was made to the developing world to back the Paris Agreement remains empty and toothless. The Prime Minister made it clear that middle-income small island states cannot do it on their own, and as such, more development bank finance was needed. The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and Inter-Caribbean Airways Limited on Monday signed a memorandum of understanding establishing a mutual agreement for the movement of relief personnel and supplies necessary for providing immediate coordinated response to regional disasters. The official signing was facilitated at a virtual event with SEDIMA's Acting Executive Director, Elizabeth Riley, and Chairman of Inter-Caribbean Airways Limited, Lyndon Gardner. Riley told the online forum that the cooperation will boost SEDIMA's operational readiness and capabilities in providing immediate and timely response support for its members.
Today's MOU signing is about people, how we better protect them and secure their safety on those inevitable occasions when we're impacted by the diverse hazards which affect our region. The visionaries who crafted the agreement establishing SEDIMA mandated the agency to, among other things, establish arrangements with regional airlines and shipping lines in order to ensure access to their facilities on a priority basis in the event of a disaster. The official signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDIMA, and Inter-Caribbean Airways Limited today continues the fulfillment of that mandate.
The chairman of Inter-Caribbean Airways Limited, meantime, welcomed the partnership.
Inter-Caribbean is indeed pleased to partner with SEDIMA in supporting our region, and we hope that the network that we have, the infrastructure we have, the assets we have in terms of airplanes, personnel, and other equipment will be, we can help to create a better or provide more immediate assistance in the region when the time comes.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors, health authorities in Guyana and officials at the Livestock Development Authority have seized more than 480 pounds of undocumented and expired packaged duck meat from a city business. We get the details in this report by Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana.
The duck meat was imported from the U.S., but the name of the shipper has not been revealed by the authorities. Director of Veterinary and Public Health Dr. Jose Dodson said the Livestock Development Authority notified the ministry of the product being sold in supermarkets. The items are not documented and therefore are not wholesome for human consumption in Guyana. The goods in the supermarkets will be confiscated in accordance with the Animal Health Act and the Public Health Ordinance. Meanwhile, the authority's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Grayson Halley, said his department plans to intensify the inspections as the Christmas season approaches. The Guyana Livestock Development Authority is responsible for issuing the no objection letter if a request is made to import meat product or live animals. The application includes the country of origin and the quantity.
And finally, on the international front, thousands of sexual abuse claims were filed against the Boy Scouts of America as the Monday deadline arrived for submitting claims in the organization's bankruptcy case. We get more in this report from CBS News.
Tonight, nearly 93,000 alleged victims have filed sexual abuse claims against the Boy Scouts of America, reaching back decades, with some victims as young as 10. Frank Spinelli was 11 years old when he says he was molested by his troop scoutmaster on Staten Island.
The assistant scoutmaster and the parish priest convinced my parents not to go to the police. The Boy Scouts of America had been harboring, institutionalizing child molestation for decades.
The 110-year-old institution filed for bankruptcy this year and established a victims' compensation fund to keep operating.
Just look at the number of claims filed against the Catholic Church. It's nothing compared to the number of people who come forward with this bankruptcy.
Paul Mones represents more than 300 alleged abuse victims.
A Pyrrhic victory, only to the extent they'll get some compensation, but it's nothing like what people would really deserve.
In a statement, BSA wrote, "The response we have seen from survivors has been gut-wrenching. We are deeply sorry. But survivors like Spinelli want more."
This is still going on, and the Boy Scouts are going to have to acknowledge that this isn't over yet, and that simply paying out rewards is not enough. It's about enacting change.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.